Today, I'm going to show you how to recreate this effect entirely inside Photoshop. The best part is it only takes a few filters and a handful of adjustment layers. Once you understand how each layer works, you'll be able to recreate this look on almost any image. Let's start by creating a new document. I'm using a width of 3000 pixels, a height of 4000 pixels, and a resolution of 72 dpi. I recommend using these exact settings because several Photoshop filters scale differently depending on the canvas size. If your document has different dimensions, the final effect may not match mine. Now let's import the image. Before we move on, this effect works great on all kinds of images, but personally, I prefer using images with light, clean background. If Photoshop creates a default background layer, you can delete it, since we won't need it for this workflow. If your image isn't already a smart object, simply right-click on the layer and choose Convert to Smart Object before moving on. Now we're ready to build the first filter. With Command or Control plus J, duplicate the original layer and rename it Filter 1. Before applying anything, make sure your foreground color is black and your background color is white. If those colors are different, the texture will look completely different, so it's definitely worth checking before you continue. Let's head into the filter gallery and choose Reticulation. If you've never used this filter before, you can find Reticulation inside the sketch folder. Go ahead and select it. And we'll start with these settings. For this effect, I'm using a density of 20, a foreground level of 50, and a background level of 0. With the reticulation filter in place, let's move on to the next step. Go back to the filter menu, head over to blur, and this time choose motion blur. For this effect, I'm using an angle of 35 degrees and a distance of 100 pixels. To blend everything together, switch the blend mode to linear light and lower the opacity to 25%. And that's our first filter finished. Now let me show you what this filter is actually doing. Without motion blur, the texture appears as a collection of small dots. As you increase the blur distance, those dots begin stretching into lines. Push it even further, and those lines eventually become light rays, creating a much more dramatic look. After testing this workflow on many different images, these settings gave me the most consistent results. But don't be afraid to experiment if you're looking for a different style. Now let's enhance this filter a little more. I'm adding a brightness and contrast adjustment layer. To make sure it only affects this filter, right-click on the adjustment layer and choose Create Clipping Mask. Now I'm setting the brightness to 85 and the contrast to 55. Now go back to the original image and duplicate it one more time. Drag the new copy all the way to the top of the layer stack and rename it Filter 2 just to keep everything organized. With that layer selected, head back to the filter menu, open the blur category, and choose Gaussian blur. For this layer, I'm using a radius of 17 pixels. Then, switch the blend mode to linear light and lower the opacity to 50%. Now let's fine-tune this filter a little more. Head down to the adjustment layers and add a curves adjustment layer. Just like before, right-click on the adjustment layer and choose Create Clipping Mask so the adjustment only affects this filter. Now all we need to do is lift the midtones. You don't have to match the curve perfectly. Just get it as close to mine as possible. And that's our second filter. Let me show you what this layer is actually doing. With almost no blur, every detail stays extremely sharp. At around 17 pixels, the edges become much softer while still preserving the subject. Push the blur too far, and the image quickly becomes too soft. Now let's finish the effect with our last filter. Go back to the original image, duplicate it one last time. Drag the new copy all the way to the top of the layer stack and rename it Filter 3 so everything stays organized. With that layer selected, head back into the filter gallery. Open the sketch category and choose Torn Edges. For this filter, I'm using an image balance of 13, a smoothness of 11, and a contrast of 17. Change the blend mode to overlay and lower the opacity to 50%. This filter is essential because it gives us complete control over the darkest parts of the image. Let me show you what I mean. Head down to the adjustment layers, add an exposure adjustment layer, then, just like before, right-click and choose Create Clipping Mask. From here, the settings are entirely up to your personal preference. As you adjust the exposure, you can decide how much of the dark details you want to keep visible or let them fade into solid black until you find the look that works best for your image. To finish everything off, add a grain adjustment layer. I'm using an amount of 40, a size of 5, and a roughness of 20. That final layer blends everything together and gives the artwork a much more authentic printed finish. And that's it. One thing I really like about this workflow is that every filter has its own adjustment layer. That means you don't have to keep changing the filters themselves. Instead, you can fine-tune the brightness and contrast, curves, and exposure adjustments until you get exactly the look you're after. One last quick tip. If you want a little more control over the final look, add a gradient map adjustment layer with a black to white gradient. Simply move the white color stop left or right to decide how much of the effect you want to reveal. It's completely optional, but it's a great way to fine-tune the final image without touching any of the filters. If you found this tutorial helpful, consider subscribing for more Photoshop effects, creative projects, and tutorials like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.